What's good? Welcome to Culture Code.
Decoding conspiracy and current events and coding creative content and culture. What's up, yo? Check in. I'm going to introduce myself and then you're going to introduce yourself.
Okay.
All right. We have decided to go by some fun code names. So I'm going to be Crash.
And I'm Burn, baby.
Crash and Burn, baby. And funny enough, my old tag name, which I don't tag anymore, and I never have done that illegally, so, like, ever. But it used to be Ad Crash, so it's short for Adrenaline Crash, which I got from a shitty 90s Metallica song, but looking back on it, looking at the music now, it's actually a pretty good song, so, yeah. Funny enough, I'm Crash always. So,
and I'm Burn. And obviously, you know, our names are a reference to the iconic 90s movie about hackers.
Hackers. Yeah. That was a great fucking movie.
I fucking love that movie.
Great movie. You know, speaking of hackers and great movies, we are actually going to be talking about finally doing our episode on predictive programming today. So that's what's up.
Yo, so much in store.
Yeah. And
it's gonna be like a different vibe though, this episode. You know, we're just gonna like vibe with y'all a little bit more on some like casual conversation.
Yeah, the last two episodes were very intense.
And then we realized that it was like, yo, we're doing mad research. It was stress. It was stressing us out.
Yeah,
so,
it starts to affect you when you look that deeply down the rabbit hole and start falling down it. So we're going to bring it back up a little bit, make it a little bit lighter. It's still going to be pretty deep and whatnot, but it's going to be a fun one, and we're just kind of going to like talk shit. So here we go. So it's going to be about predictive programming. Now, some of you are like, oh, okay. And some of you might be like, what's that? And I'm going to tell you what it is. So, predictive programming. What is it? What's the purpose of it? And what's an example of it? All right, well. This quote is from a researcher from Ohio State University named Daria Beaver. That's a real name. I didn't make that up. It says, predictive programming is a theory that the government or other higher-ups are using fictional movies or books as a mass mind control tool to make the population more accepting of planned future events. This was first described and proposed by researcher Alan Watt, who defines predictive programming as predictive programming is a subtle tool of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. If and when these changes are put through, the public will already be familiarized with them and will accept them as natural progressions, thus lessening possible public resistance and commotions. This theory and everything was popularized by Alex Jones and David Icke. David Icke, what's up? You know, if you're listening, probably not, but reptilian people, maybe it's a thing, maybe it's not, but it's really cool. But yeah, so they, you know, and then like they give some examples of like some common ones. We're going to give more examples, so I'm not going to get into that. So how did you find out about predictive programming? Do you remember like the time period like you found out about it and you were like, whoa, this is crazy, dude?
I want to say like that particular kind of idea. I didn't learn about like that terminology for what was happening. Probably I would say 2020. Honestly, I had never heard the term used before until 2020.
A lot of people got like super woken up to this, whatever it is, charade around then. But I remember my friend Allie. Shout out to Allie in California, Bay Area. If you're listening, I remember she used to talk about predictive programming all the time. And I was like, dude, this is like a crazy thing. Because I sort of knew a little bit. I'd heard the term before, but she was really the person in my life that talked about predictive programming a lot. And this was like 2007, 8, I want to say. Like right after I dropped out of college, basically, and like met her. We started hanging out a bunch, but she was always going on about predictive programming, bro. And I was like, yo, this is like some deep shit. This is like some really like tyrannical, like psychological deep shit. And it's definitely connected with, I'm sure it's definitely connected with a lot of the MK Ultra operations, because it's a psychological manipulation.
Absolutely.
So it's got to be, I mean, it's crazy too, because the CIA funds a crap ton, a crap ton of like movies, especially if they involve any of their equipment. So like Top Gun is notorious for just being an absolute, the old one and the new one, they're basically just total propaganda. Like completely.
Like military propaganda?
Yes, because
Absolutely.
any movie that heavily uses military resources, like if you use the fighter jets or whatever, they don't like the script, they're going to pull all the footage of any footage with their stuff in it. They're not allowing you to use it. And in a movie like Top Gun, that scraps the entire movie. You don't have a movie without that. So they influence a lot of other spins. Anything with the military, anything about the military, they basically greenlight it, because they use like analysts, and they have like people come and they like kind of tell you what is a good thing to say and what's not.
Isn't also like predictive programming based on a kind of Aleister Crowley concept that you have to kind of like tell people the shit that you're doing to them, and for it to be like, morally or ethically right?
To be honest with you, I don't know where they got that idea of like telling people, like you have to tell people beforehand. It could be, honestly, I haven't heard that ever. But I have heard that whatever system of weird ass spirituality they're using, they have to disclose it. Whatever kind of weird Illuminati stuff they're doing, which probably has something to do with that, sure, because it usually goes back to something like that, right?
Yeah.
But I actually don't know exactly where it comes from. I do know in Wicca, there's a threefold law that whatever you sin comes back to you. But I don't know if disclosing it, if I hit you with a car, but I tell you before,
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you.
does that dissolve me of all karma? I don't know, but I don't know where that I don't know where that view comes from.
There's something about how they seem to believe that if they let us know what they're gonna do.
But I just don't know where that comes from. But it could be Crowley. I'm honestly not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, something to look into. But I don't know. I was trying to figure out like what my ideas between like what's the difference between a movie that has a conspiracy theory in it and predictive programming in it.
Timing, whether it's happened or not.
See, they're very similar. I feel like conspiracy theories are like ones that are like have been going on for a long time. Maybe, it's something that's already well known to at least part of the public, but could or could not be true. But predictive programming is stuff that's like maybe a little bit newer.
Predictive programming
hasn't
for
happened
me
yet.
is something like the movie White Noise, where it's like
I hate that fucking movie. It's so bad.
Like the movie White Noise. Basically, the movie's about a train derailment that happens in Ohio, and it basically like causes this like huge, explosion and like chemical, like fallout in this Ohio town. And just a few months ago, we had that happen in Ohio, in the same town.
Yeah, it was filmed.
That it was filmed in
East Palestine.
So
and then everything.
That's something that I would
Palestine.
consider predictive programming because it happened.
Absolutely, that's absolutely predictive programming because that's not a conspiracy theory because we had no idea. That's not a common conspiracy theory like the moon landing.
Movies
or
in the 90s that had like the the towers
Oh god.
falling, or like
Yeah.
album covers that incorporated that.
The Simpsons have like 9/11 on it was like one shot. If you like pause it, The Simpsons has like a 9, and then the two towers which spell out 11 on like a magazine. I think the Bard or somebody's handing out, and then they like showed Donald Trump becoming president. The Simpsons,
And this was not
the
like
Simpsons be doing
a
it.
redone episode.
That was old.
It was like an actual episode. See,
Yeah.
I just don't remember as many like Simpsons episodes like that to know which ones, But I definitely have to sit and like watch a few. You're out of the frame constantly.
I'm out of the frame. But yeah, so predictive programming, I feel like there's so much stuff going on with it. And it's true that it's like for some reason they do feel like, oh, you're okay with it. It is a passive, like you're passively just accepting it, kind of like we do iTunes agreements. Like everyone knows that no one actually reads them, but the fact that they legally put
like
it,
they're conditioning us to accept things that are going to happen.
right?
Slowly introducing it.
But legally, we are bound by that iTunes contract. Even if we read it or not, even if they know we 100% didn't read it, we still said that we did. We accepted it.
And what is the iTunes
And this
contract?
is exactly...
I don't even know. Is that bad? I don't know what it says at all.
Nobody knows what it says. And that's the whole point, is that they know that you maybe don't understand it, but if they put it enough in your face where a smart person could understand it, then, or encode it, if they really look into it, then it's over. Game over. But the thing is, too, they're also specifically, like, working to make us dumb and slow and, like, make us think all this is just a conspiracy. So, it's almost like, they're giving us a little bit of a chance, but they're also completely working against all of our chances of figuring this out.
So basically they're gaslighting us.
Essentially, yeah. That's what a lot of it is. So here's some like movies that y'all have probably seen in popular culture. Some bigger ones. Transformers. Transformers was talking about aliens coming to Earth, just basic. I know they're cars and stuff, which is like the goofy. They always put goofy parts in, so you think, oh.
Independence Day, dude.
Independence Day. Transformers. We know about the plot of Independence Day. It was basically just aliens coming down and trying to take over the world.
Men in Black, yo.
Men in Black, same thing. Like, well, there's actual, a lot of people say there's actually real Men in Black. I don't know if they're from outer space or the government, but they come, they visit your house, they tell you to shut the fuck up or something bad's going to happen. Maybe you don't. They visit your house again. Nothing good comes from that.
Absolutely.
And it kind of reminds me of the children, oh man, the black-eyed kids that visit your house.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, it's different because it's not supposed to be like.
That's more like lore.
Yeah, right. But Men in Black are lore too because they're not proven real.
Okay.
But I mean,
but they're not like some mythical. It's like a conspiracy. Right? Because it's like, oh, this like government.
No, it's a little bit different. But they do just like randomly show up to your door.
They're not like these
creepy
mythical,
as fuck.
Creepy creatures like
no, that's the difference.
Like the Jersey Devil or like the Chupacabra.
Nah. Ooh, Chupacabra. Also, the
that movie was
Choopy.
Poppin'.
Choopy on Netflix is a great
love
movie.
Choopy.
Everyone watch Choopy.
I love Choopy.
It's really cute. I want a Chupacabra now. Byrne doesn't think we should get a Chupacabra, so.
Well, I mean, we don't have enough room in the backyard. What can I say?
Yeah. Well, that's why they're going to be an inside Choopy. But anyway, circling back to Transformers really quick, that has some really crazy esoteric occult stuff in it because it's all about like a power source, like a free source of energy being like this giant, like I believe it was either a giant cube or a double-sided like triangle type figure that was all black, and it had like technology that it could change itself to be small or like giant, and it had the radiation was why they built the Hoover Dam, and why it's so thick. Essentially, is they're hiding. It was as they were hiding this in the movie, they're hiding this giant cube in there, and everyone's fighting over it. The other Decepticons are trying to get it from the Transformers and everything.
So you feel like that's predictive programming?
Well, I looked into it, and there's a huge conspiracy theory about the Hoover Dam.
Now,
so yes, I do feel like it's actually predictive programming.
The conspiracy theory, does it predate
Yes.
the movie?
Yes.
Wow.
By far.
So do you think the movie was based on the conspiracy theory?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because essentially, the Hoover Dam has all these weird angel statues that look like Nephilim. And they're just like giant, creepy angels.
Nephilim.
But they're like angel-human hybrids. That's Nephilim. Okay. So they're like
fallen angels.
Fallen angels that are like the bad angels, probably. I'm assuming.
Okay, because they got kicked out of heaven or whatever.
Yeah. Now, it could be angels just visiting the earth trying to get some booty.
Okay.
With the humans. I don't know. But I think it might be the fallen angels, because the Bible does say, in Revelations, it does say like a third of the angels went with Lucifer when he got kicked out of heaven. Here's the number like 33.
Not that we're like Bible thumpers over here, but
I had to do research for the number 33 and like the Masonic values, and that's 33%. 33 and a third percent.
Oh wow!
Is the fallen? Yeah. So because of that, it could be the fallen angels, and they were supposed to be human hybrids. So it does look like these giant, like the feet are like as big as a table or more, and they have the entire astrological wheel up there, and there's just some like strange occult things to it. Mostly, I think it's mostly like the statues and the astrological wheel, but there's something about, I believe, that placement as well. There's a couple things.
Is this also in Colorado?
The Hoover Dam.
Yeah. Where's the Hoover Dam?
Outside of Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. Las Vegas.
We used to visit it like almost every year because I have cousins in Las Vegas. Yo, shout out to Allie and Michaela. What's up? My favorite cousins, okay? But yeah, so it is basically when you enter the state from the the southeastern point of the state, when you get in there from like coming up from Arizona.
Yeah.
So when you hit that and you go up, you have to go through the Hoover Dam to get to Las Vegas. So yeah, Transformers is definitely predictive programming in my eyes because of the entire thing about it. And then, we have Contagion.
Oh my God, Contagion. I haven't watched it, but I'm already triggered.
I watched it last night for the first time ever, weirdly enough. And bro, that movie was crazy. They said they based it on another pandemic, and there's a lot of outbreaks, I guess. But the one they said that they based it on, I haven't even heard about. It's so small. The movie was made in 2011, first off, and the whole thing looked like the thing we can't talk about that happened in 2020 because of like censorship reasons. They actually had a conspiracy theorist in it that was this is so predictive programming. He was telling people that there was a natural cure and then making like $4.5 million of it. And he pretended to be sick. And so it was a way to basically be like, when everything did happen, it was a way to be like, oh, well, these natural cures don't work. You have to get like one of our big pharmaceutical like cures, because like we've never seen anything like this or whatever. And, the conspiracy theorists are all like basically lying to you. And so I thought that was really interesting. Although I did point out that the government in the movie Contagion was so well run, and they were so much more like...
I haven't watched the movie.
No, you haven't.
Talk your shit, though.
They were very upfront with people about what was going on. They were like, we have no cure. We don't know what it is. We don't know where it comes from. They didn't try to make everything up, And I thought that was
Yo.
nice. And also Lawrence Fishburne explaining anything to me, I'd be like, okay,
What about that TV
that's
show
great.
Utopia, bro?
Now Utopia.
Now that I consider that was a little too close to home for me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, weird thing too. Utopia. Do you remember Utopia and the bunnies?
Yeah.
They were like spreading things, like they were spreading disease through these rabbits. And it was specifically going to school children so people would care. Like they was hitting the kids, which is not like real life, but I thought that was an interesting
But
touch.
they got us, with the elderly.
But what is like real life is in Contagion, it was a bat. It moved from bat to pig to human, which I found very interesting since the bad thing from 2020 is supposedly came from bats. Back to Utopia. Oh man, there's like a the Amazon
And like
dude
the whole TV show
is in there.
is essentially about how like the pharmaceutical companies are trying to like make money off of these cures, off this cure and whatnot, but they're also at the same time kind of like compromising people's health, right? Which is something that a lot of people today are, they're like, no, they would never do that to us. Why would they do that? They care about us. We just need to get it.
They weren't compromising people's health. They were literally making people unable to have children, to reproduce.
In the TV show?
That's what the VAXs did.
Yeah, but also some folks started having other types of side effects like seizures, like
I need to rewatch it.
yeah.
But I do remember that was their whole goal.
And and there's a lot of talk out there, there's like documentaries coming out, there's people coming out and speaking out, but that information's being suppressed, and whatever. Judge me if you want to judge me, but I like to possibilities. And
I mean, honestly, let's just be clear about this. Like anything dealing with money where investors could lose a lot of money, I mean, they're gonna obviously like have a reason to not give you the full data because they don't want to lose tons of money. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It's the same all aboard. So of course it could be absolutely true. And like, I don't know. I think I think the dark agenda that I personally believe could be a really strong issue is seen very well in Utopia. Whether you watch the British one or the American one, I think they're both absolutely fire. And they were created, funny enough, the American one came out in 2020 and it was taken off of Amazon for a while. I don't know if it's back on or not because it was way too close to home and they had to put a disclaimer on it that says that this isn't about it isn't about the pandemic. That and I was like, okay. But the British version came out before that. And then the book, I believe there was a book or that came out even before that. So we're talking, at least a couple years before this. Probably around the time Contagion came out, honestly. So there was a lot of stuff going on there. I think Utopia would be the number one thing I would recommend to watch in terms of predictive programming and in terms of how like the government may really work, that I believe it potentially really works. Like there's a really great Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates character, whatever you want to kind of believe that the character's based off of. He's in there. It's just a very well done show. If you want to have more action, watch the American one. It's a little more out there, but it is more action, more fast moving. It's a little more colorful. If you want something that's a little more realistic, watch the British version. They also mentioned sleeper cells in there, which is very interesting.
You know what I was just thinking about? What was that movie? Was it Idiocracy? Yeah, the one with like the future people being dumbed down.
Oh, that's Idiocracy. Yeah.
To the umph degree. And like, I don't know. Someone pointed out recently that they had Crocs in there before Crocs even like popped off.
Yeah, dude.
Before they even popped off, like, because it was the only thing that they could afford for their movie budget or whatever.
Because they look stupid as fuck.
And that was their reasoning for why they had them. And like, here we are. I don't know.
This movie was
20 years later.
Yeah, almost 20 years. This movie was filmed in 2005, and Crocs were not popular. And the person was like, "Oh, they're never going to get popular because they look so ridiculous."
And then, some of the people we've chosen as our, well, I wouldn't say chosen, as our, to lead our country, you know what I'm saying? It's giving idiocracy, like, for sure.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think it started to be really obvious when George W. Bush became president. I'm surrounded by idiots.
You think?
Yes. He was just playing a huge game.
Oh, they're all like
he was, this dude is smart as fuck. He went to Yale. He's part of the Skull and Bones. He was just like, I'm just going to play a funny old guy from the South and, Did
he go to Yale because he was smart, or did he go to Yale because his mommy and daddy paid for him to go there? You know
well, I mean, his dad went to Yale.
Okay, then that tells you right there.
I mean, I'm saying,
I don't see why.
But that doesn't mean he's not smart. He is smart. He just,
He plays a role, you think?
Yeah. They all play a role because they're all actors, bro. He was also part of the Skull and Bones. It wasn't just George W. Bush that was part of the Skull and Bones. It was his dad.
Oh, my God.
George H.W. Bush, part of the Skull and Bones.
Was a part of it, too.
Oh, wait, there's more. His grandfather, Prescott S. Bush, was also a member of the Skull and Bones, and I believe he was one of the really important members. Apparently, he was one of the group of bonesmen who dug up and removed the skull of Geronimo, allegedly, from his grave in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Trifling. Just trifling.
That's crazy. He was also a member of the Yale Glee Club. There you go.
I wouldn't be surprised. I believe anything.
Yo, I am just, I don't even know what's going on with that. Anyway, watch Utopia. That's the main part. I did recently watch the movie Megan. Has anyone seen that? Let us know in the comments. You have not seen that, but you know what it's about. It's you don't really need to watch it, honestly. I mean, it's a good movie, but you don't need to watch it to know what it's about.
Is it a movie about AI?
Yeah, it's just like about an AI bot that is like a child companion and friend, and helps the parents teach the child and remind them to wash their hands, and plays with them, and essentially it kind of ends up replacing the parent, becomes psychologically very harmful. But that's the least of your worries, because AI model is a continuous learning system that takes all kind of, it's very Terminator-like, honestly. The AI will look at you and be like, can sense your expressions of the hundreds of muscles in your face. They can analyze that.
So our phones right now.
The AI started trying to protect the kid too much and ended up murdering a bunch of people. So there you go. Just like all the AI movies, Terminator, except for Terminator was actually created to do that. That's the difference. Also, has anyone ever seen the movie Terminator? Let us know in the comments. That's my favorite movie of all time.
I mean, it's a classic.
I don't think anyone's watched it, though, in this time period, because it seems like the people that are making all this AI stuff, it seems like they never watched Terminator. I don't think they have. Have you ever seen Terminator?
Or maybe they have watched it.
And they're evil. And that's why. They're like, oh, I want to make that Terminator.
I'm not against AI. I just think that it's it could be used for good, but knowing the way that when big money, is involved in anything, they weaponize it. So
exactly,
that's the issue I have with
I am definitely against AI. Fuck AI. Anti-AI right here. And you know why? Because I know how it ends. I've seen all the Terminator movies. I've seen all the 80s movies.
But
I've seen all
that predictive programming right there? Are they trying to
maybe,
are they setting you up to believe that society's gonna collapse because of AI?
Well, is it?
But
life?
Really, it's them. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, here's the meat of the discussion: is it life imitating art, or art imitating life? Because The dude that developed one of the first cell phones, he got the idea from Star Trek. But did we already have secret alien technology? That's the thing. You know, which one is it? You know?
I think we've had this technology for like at least over 100 years. Also,
me too.
Yo, have you ever seen
Well, probably like 80.
Have you ever seen that Stanley Kubrick film, Space Odyssey 2001? And how, like, basically, like,
yeah, I've seen
they
it.
had, like, iPads on that, John? Like,
bruh. Space Odyssey 2001 is literally like one of the most occult movies ever.
I love that movie.
And so is The Shining. Everything he did.
I love Stanley Kubrick.
Eyes wide shut.
Of course.
Stanley Kubrick is the shit. But and also every time you watch his movies, you just can keep watching them and watching them because there's so much secret shit in them. There's so much like occult symbolism and color. It's so dope, yo.
So I was watching, we watched the new Super Mario Brothers movie, and then I was like, yo, let's rewatch the old one. Or maybe it was you who, like, brought it up, like, yo, let's watch the old one. And I was like,
yeah.
Yo, what if this is like some like predictive programming about like these conspiracies around inner Earth and like this kind of reptilian situation, you know?
I think that's super interesting.
I mean, come on, it's all there. It's all there.
And then, she's referring to the old Super Mario Brothers from like the 1993
maybe,
whatever.
93.
That
94?
movie is significantly better than the new one, and the new one was entertaining.
I love that movie,
but the old one has a lot of like weird conspiracy theories and stuff going on. And it's just honestly, it's got John Leguizamo.
Love him.
Plays Luigi, a young John Leguizamo. You got romance, you got adventure, you got lots of Koopas.
Yo,
there's a time machine that de-evolves people and evolves
people. And then the whole concept is basically that some kind of like shift happened and like shifted dimensions, shifted timelines. Yeah. And like all these like people who were essentially evolved, instead of evolving from like monkeys, like we're taught that we evolved from monkeys and whatnot, primates. They evolved from dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they live in this other timeline. And I'm like, yo, it's given like reptilian, inner Earth conspiracy theories.
This shit is fire. That fucking movie's fire, dude.
And it's wild. Even the mushroom, like the whole, mycelium? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of myceliums over that place.
Yeah, like apparently the king kind of takes over. They try to get rid of the king, and then he just becomes kind of like this mushroom all over.
Yeah, dude, it's like
the city.
A fungi ooze.
A fungi ooze.
Which reminds me of the movie Secrets of the Ooze, which is a dope movie.
Oh yeah, the
TNMT, second one. Yeah. Nope, third one. My bad. Fire.
It's the OG.
Anyway. I have no idea if that has predictive programming in it, but there's a lot of ooze. So if you like ooze, check it out. Yeah, that movie is like one of my favorites. You actually introduced me to that movie and a ton more.
Yeah.
Like a lot of movies. Like I've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street.
Because
which is a great movie.
I couldn't believe you'd never seen Nightmare on Elm Street.
Crazy. I thought it was going to be cheesy because I honestly, major bad opinion. I don't like Friday the 13th that much.
What if
I respect it. I don't like it that much.
Oh, I just had a thought.
Yo,
what if Nightmare on Elm Street is like remote viewing? And, you know, it's like how they can tap into your dreams. You know what I'm saying? Because he like,
bro.
Yo.
But they just like appear as a monster. Like in It.
Think about it,
like
though.
It, he's like a clown to most people, but he really just appears as like your worst, like, you know, your scariest like thought or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like that, maybe like Nightmare on Elm Street is just like they appear as a monster instead of like whatever. That's an interesting ass thought. You know that movie is based on real stuff, right?
It like.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean real stuff?
Nightmare. So how they got the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street is there was like a group of kids, like teenagers. So I believe it was somewhere in Southeast Asia, and they were having these horrible nightmares, dude. And they were all scared and like paranoid they were gonna die. But the doctors were like saying there was like nothing wrong with them. They were healthy. And then they like were saying that some dude, they didn't know each other. But it was like unrelated, but there was like some guy with like long like fingers for hands or something, like some kind of scary image was like gonna kill them in their sleep. And then a bunch of them ended up dying, and they said they had heart attacks in their sleep. So they were like trying to stay awake. It was just like the movie.
Yo, that's wild.
Yo, if you watch the new, okay, it's not new, but if you watch the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, have you ever seen it?
Is it the one
From the 2000 and something, blah, 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 Nightmare on Elm Street?
I kind of stopped watching that franchise at some point.
Well, it's a remake, so there you go. You know how I feel about those. I actually didn't hate it, though, to be honest with you. Like, I thought maybe kids from this generation, from like, like younger generation might understand and appreciate it more and go back and watch the originals. There's never going to be anything like the originals, obviously. And 80s and early 90s Freddy movies are dope as hell. But they did do more backstory with Freddy. And they did touch on that when they were doing research in the library, which I actually really appreciated. And they went into the fact that he was originally supposed to be a child, did the essay on children. And that's why he got killed. And that's why, and they go into the backstory of Freddy. So if you like the franchise, it may not be a great movie, but it does go into kind of some stuff that they really couldn't get into in the 80s for the ratings, I think. And what they were trying to go for. So check that one out. We still have a lot of predictive programming, but I feel like the 80s is really like when the predictive programming started heavily. Because we had like the Running Man and the Terminator, and like I think Videodrome was from the 90s, but yeah, and we're still getting movies like The Purge, and which definitely is predictive programming because it hasn't happened, but it like could happen. I don't know. I mean, my favorite predictive programming though has got to be the X-Files.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And conspiracies. I've always said I used to think about like how are they letting this information out? That's just crazy because it's obvious that people are gonna like be like, hey, like I know what you're doing. It's exactly like it is in the X-Files, but that's the reason. That's the reason why they put vampires and swamp monsters and basically like supernatural shit that everybody knows like probably isn't real, or at least the general public thinks it's silly and stupid. And that's why.
Yo, do you ever... Oh, Black Mirror, obviously.
Oh,
Black Mirror
is a great one.
It's the huge one. And then there was another show.
I think Black Mirror and X-Files and Utopia are the three biggest.
I forgot what it was called, but it's essentially about kind of like what happens when you die and like uploading your consciousness onto some drive so that you can like live online forever, and you're existing, your consciousness is just existing in like, I don't know.
It's called Upload.
Yo.
You literally said, I was like, wait, you're saying it.
Yeah.
Upload. Dude, I forgot about Upload.
That was wild.
Upload's an Amazon show.
It had me shook.
Which is funny because Utopia was on Amazon.
Yeah.
So Amazon's got some kind of shit on it. But yeah, Upload, like, you like run out of credits and you get frozen because it's all like AI.
Yo.
Like your it's basically like your mind is uploaded in the resort.
Where capitalism is run amok.
Well, Black Mirror did an episode on it. Black Mirror was like you could upload your consciousness.
Yeah, I remember. It was that really sad episode.
Oh, the one with the
lesbians. You remember
in the 80s? That's my favorite. That's my favorite Black Mirror episode. It's called like San Tropicito or something like that.
That John made me cry, man. I
whatever.
couldn't. I was like this.
But yeah, because why would you want to upload your consciousness? I don't want to fucking do that. That's why I think Facebook, after like Facebook being there after you're alive is so creepy. I'm like, no.
Yo, and like I remember,
opt out.
I'm so glad that Instagram took out that feature where you can see people and like what they're doing and saying and commenting, because after we had a mutual friend pass away, and when we lived, back in Philly at some point, we had a mutual friend pass away in the punk scene, and I could see people commenting like weeks, months after, miss you, wish you were here, I can't believe you're not here. And that was like too much.
It's you know
It's too
it's
much.
sad, but it's also just like too. It's a little creepy.
It's too much.
I know. That's the AI stuff is taking it too far. But we forgot about the movie Conspiracy Theory.
Yo,
which is
that movie touches up on pretty much like most conspiracy theories. Like it's like it's a jam-packed movie.
Some of them very
we got the
common.
MK Ultra. We got the remote viewing. We got the what do they talk about? They talk about the water.
Fluoride in the water.
Fluoride in the water.
They talk about the NASA conspiracy.
Oh my god. The fake moon landing.
Chemtrails as population control and weather control.
It's just if y'all never seen that movie, it moves kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a what was it, like a 90s movie?
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was too slow.
And the relationship between him and old girl was a little toxic.
Julia Roberts.
Saying? It was a little toxic.
He was a weirdo, yeah.
It was not given on that front.
But it's mostly based off like this Canadian conspiracy theorist and journalist named Serge Monast. He actually ended up dying by a heart attack. And basically Jerry Fletcher, the character in the movie Conspiracy Theory, was modeled upon him mostly. But it was a very suspicious heart attack, and apparently his followers think that he was assassinated by psychotronic weapons. Which is very interesting because I have heard they have heart attack guns. Even back in the day, they used to assassinate people in the 1900s with ricin pellets, with umbrellas that looked like, with guns that looked like umbrellas, and the tip of them would shoot out a ricin pellet. And now they just do the same thing by touching people with fentanyl or sending out electromagnetic pulses and frequencies to stop people's pacemakers or disrupt their, what is it? The electromagnetic balance in your body. So that's fun. So yeah, but I feel like there are some, like, even though it's based on
a complete nod to William Cooper.
Well, I feel like
the horse
William Cooper. I feel like I see it in everything. But yes, the horse symbolism was so William Cooper to me.
Yeah, he used to. Didn't he used to have like some kind of like publication that he would send out, or like a radio show?
He had a radio show in L.A. Yeah.
And then the guy in the movie, Mel Gibson, He
has a little publication with like 5 members.
It was 5 members.
And they murdered all of his 5 members. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, William Cooper used to have a radio show that was really popular. And he got murdered on his property right before 9/11 happened and predicted 9/11. Funny enough. That's what he's most famous for. That and like talking about the secret societies. And Bern and I just purchased, in cash of course, a copy of his book. And we realized
it's not
that
the same one I read in like 2000.
Nope, it's been edited. They took out certain parts of it for being racist / xenophobic, blah blah blah. Which it's about the Jewish, some kind of conspiracy is what. And I'm like, dude,
that's a little.
I'm Jewish, bro. Like, it's
a little problematic. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
but,
don't. I don't. We're anti-censorship. Like, I'm Jewish. Let me decide what I want to read, son. Come on, man. But Conspiracy Theory is a great movie for people that, like, say you haven't really, like, been introduced to a lot of conspiracy theories. Honestly, if you just want to watch the first 3-minute intro, he literally lists, like, an insane amount of conspiracy theories as a montage when he's driving the cabs. He's talking to people, just talking their ear off, like a very like wingnut kind of
he's
guy.
Like today's version of like a red-pilled person. I popped in an Uber the other night. Big lifted truck pulls up, and it's this dude, and he's my Uber driver, and I'm like, oh man, now I gotta get like my equipment onto this truck. Anyway, so we're riding in the truck, and he instantly goes into red pill talk. He's like, this country is doing this, and this. Obviously, meaning he was like a huge like Trump supporter and whatnot. And I'm just like, at this point, it's like if you don't see that there's two wings to the bird, and like they're just toying with us, like you're half asleep. Like you only have half of the. You're only seeing half of the truth.
Yeah, there's no way you can see all
caught
of
up
it.
in the.
You don't have the tools to. You really gotta have to start looking past that. I mean, the government's pretty much fully corrupt. So I mean, there's a few people in there that are like peons, at the very like grassroots levels, sure. But the longer you're in there, it's like being in a good apple and a barrel full of bad. Eventually, you're gonna turn bad and got worms in you and stuff.
He was going on, and then at the end of the conversation, he basically is just like, "There's only two genders," and I was like, "All right, I gotta go."
Damn straight, just playing.
And I was like, "All right, bye."
Bye. It's so weird to me that like, I don't know. I think it's almost honestly just as like ignorant as being like, I'm a Republican and everything I believe is what every Republican believes. I'm like a Jewish person, Jewish of the Jewish faith, and like I believe everything without question, or Christian faith, or Democrat. I believe everything the Democrats say. I'm like, bro, can't you just think for yourself? Like, why does red pill, back in the day, okay, I remember when the tinfoil hat people, they were all very like out there. Like on the X-Files, the lone gunman style. They're pretty liberal. Generally, like they didn't really care about whatever. They were just like, the government's out to get us, and kind of like
it wasn't tied into this like Republican agenda.
No, not at all. And so I feel like it used to,
it used to be the people on the left.
It used to be the anarchists and stuff, like, and like I don't know, like. I guess there's some libertarians there are a lot of libertarians that are red pill, but it used to be people that were not trying to talk about human rights stuff either way. It was people that were like very anarchist, like do what you want. I don't want the government around me, like that kind of thing. That's what I vibe with, honestly. It's kind of like the lone gunman style, like red pill. And I don't know, man. I just, there's definitely an agenda to some stuff, but also like there's definitely like legit reasons why people do it and why they feel a certain way. So I don't know. You kind of have to look very intricately at issues and can't be just like, that's bad. That's good. Bad. Good. And I just feel like it's very easy to get sucked into like a person or a show or a conspiracy theorist and be like, I believe 100% of what he says. Because even William Cooper in his book, he's like the grandfather of conspiracy theories. He was like, these are just my theories. I'm really just encouraging you to think openly, and I may be wrong about a lot of this. Like, this is, to what I believe, this is the best of, like, my knowledge, what is going to happen with all the documents I've found and all the information I have, but it's still just, like, I don't know what's going to happen, and history could change, depending on, if people know this stuff or not, and he really was just encouraging to think. So on that note, I feel like that's what we're trying to do. We're encouraging you all to think. So whether, something is a conspiracy theory or it's predictive programming, I think it does have a lot to do with what has happened in the past, what has already been shown on television, if it's a trope or not, or part of a genre, and what we're in the middle of right now and what we're going towards. But honestly, there's a lot of like crossover, we feel like. So yeah, I mean, do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, just do your own research, and I mean, honestly, I feel like people should just hop off of like the media. I know we've been conditioned to think that the news is like informing us, but they're all paid, they're sponsored like by big corporations that give them a lot of money.
I remember in the 80s, there was a guy, a ex-CIA operative they were interviewing, and they were asking him how much news and media was controlled. And I believe I said this in the last episode, but I'm going to say it again for y'all that didn't hear it. And he was like, what do you think, like 50%, like 30%? He was like, more than you could ever imagine in the 80s. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, 99.99% of it's all controlled. And if you watch that video of them saying, like, about spread of misinformation on social media, there's, like, every news channel in the whole country is saying the exact same script. It's really creepy. You can play it all at the same time, and there's, like, 20 different people, 30 different like
Someone
channels.
said that was an AI generated video, but I don't believe that.
That actually came out a few years ago. So before AI got super popular in terms of like, well, it's only been like the last year and a half, 2 years that AI has been like pretty popular. Yeah, that came out like right first part of 2021. So maybe just a few months before people started using it like crazy. On that note, we're going to do the chill pill section. Something we've been looking into a lot has been mudras. It's like hand positions, right? That have a certain kind of energy.
Yeah.
That flow. Yeah, it's basically like hand positions that flow through a certain energy, right? My thing that I've been trying to like look more into is the CIA research that was done like by the Monroe Institute about like the CIA number for pain, which I believe is 55515. And apparently if you say that over and over again, something about the vibration of the number stops pain. I don't know, but you also really go on CIA.gov and check out some of the crazy articles they have on like mind control, like pain reduction. And the Monroe Institute is basically just like a
they're basically like matrix codes, apparently.
Matrix codes, yeah. But it's like a shell company, basically. Essentially, it's like a shell company for the CIA. Like, Monroe Institute is the CIA. They just needed to funnel money under a different name because they couldn't legally do it. So check into that.
I'm not sure if I trust that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is actually
I feel like I do.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is this like leaked information, or is this something that they have?
Well, this is something
put out.
This is something they found before the Freedom of Information Act came out.
Okay. All right. So mudras are a set.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Mudras are a set of subtle physical movements that can change one's mood, attitude, or perspective, and which help to increase concentration and alertness. A mudra can be a simple hand position, or it can encompass the entire body in a combination of asana, pranayama, bandha, and visualization methods. Like the symbol that we often associate with devil or like rock and roll, I think is this. Mm-hmm. That's one. It's called Pana Mudra.
That one I've seen like more commonly. That one's a cool one. Yes, and those are supposed to be so occult, but that's why...
You know, everything gets co-opted. That's the funny part, is that these ancient things that are, you know, spiritual to certain people's, you know, cultures and groups, they get co-opted and appropriated by people who...
Like the swastika.
And that's a conspiracy in itself. You know what I'm saying?
Like the swastika is a symbol of peace. In Hindi, I believe.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so crazy. And then you can't, like, with that bad a rap, you can't really use it anymore because it looks really, really bad. But,
so essentially they take something that means something amazing and they turn it into, like, a bad thing.
True.
And that's a conspiracy. I
also do believe that sometimes, like, certain major Abrahamic religions just steamroll every other religion and just consider it to be, like, evil and satanic. Like, straight up, you know?
Yeah.
So that's also another issue. They basically do a little column A, a little column B work there, I feel like. But that's really not fair because there's so many... Honestly, those are the religions that kind of, like, formed a lot of those Abrahamic religions. They're a little bit younger. But anyway, that's a whole new can of worms. Let's not get talking about that. But yeah, so practice your mudras, ladies and gentlemen.
Look into those CIA codes.
Read about the Monroe Institute. That's some homework for you. Any new movies or music coming out that you consider to be something that's really going to help you relax and chill from the world, or something that's very Illuminati confirmed?
Honestly, I'm just always listening to like binaural beats.
I'm listening to lo-fi beats to chill, sleep, and study to, baby. Also, listen to my beats on soundcloud.com/NAZZD. Thank you. No, but there's some new horror movies coming out. I'm a big Insidious fan, and there's Insidious Red Door coming out, and The Boogeyman.
Ooh.
There's a very problematic, maybe problematic from the name, horror movie called The Blackening, which I don't know, but it looks like it might be interesting to watch. So mostly The Boogeyman's like by the producers of Stranger Things, which Bird might go see it with me since it's from the Stranger Things and it's about the Boogeyman.
How did we miss Stranger Things?
Little scary.
If that's not the most
oh my god
predictive programming as like CERN.
Oh my god, I know. There's just so many. It's so hard.
Yeah, we definitely have to come back with a whole explanation.
We're gonna do a deep dive, I think, into certain ones that we find more relevant, newer, or fascinating.
This was just a like mic check 1 2 testing.
Surface level. Yeah, we want to make sure y'all really, really know what it is before we dive into it deep. Because once we dive into deep, it's going to take a while to come back to the surface. So, yeah, check out the Insidious movies if you haven't seen them though. Those are very like subconscious. You could consider them to be like pretty weird occult symbology in there as well, which we're also into. So yeah, but y'all remember to like, follow, rate, and subscribe.
We'll have all the links down below.
Yep. Peace out, y'all, and hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.
Smoke tree every day.
Yeah. Peace out.
Respect the drip, Karen.